say he didn't slam the hood?
What's the matter with the doors?
Didn't the man say not to slam the hood down? Didn't the man say the doors sometimes lock when you slam the hood down?
Did the man say I would burn my hand?
Well, it's locked, all right. Who's got the keys?
The car's got the keys.
Why didn't you take the keys?
I only went from my seat to the hood. I thought it would be safe. You on this side, stand over there.
What fool closed the window?
That fool closed the windows. Even with my eyes on the gauge, I saw that fool close the windows.
The air conditioning doesn't work with open windows.
Well, now the car doesn't work with closed windows, does it, fool?
Smile, everybody. We're in Los Angeles.
Bill Cosby and Richard Pryor having trouble getting to the Beverly Hills Hotel in California suite. One of 5 new movies we'll be reviewing and looking at on sneak previews, 2 film critics giving a consumer guide to the movies. Across the aisle from me is Gene Siskel, the film critic of the Chicago Tribune and CBS TV News in Chicago.
And this is Roger Ebert, the Pulitzer Prize-winning film critic of the Chicago Sun-Times. Now, in addition to California Suite, we'll be taking a look at a fine remake of a classic 1950s science fiction film called Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Also, Uncle Joe Shannon, a tearjerker. Or maybe a tear yanker would be more accurate. And we'll also take a look at a 38-year-old movie brought back to theaters for the holidays. I'll give you a clue as to the title. It's animated, and it's about a wooden boy who has this problem with telling lies.
Can I guess?
Later, Roger. Now, but first, Roger begins with Clint Eastwood's latest movie, Every Which Way But Loose.
Too loose might be the problem here, Gene. This movie has the usual Clint Eastwood violence and humor, but it goes soft around the edges and it just doesn't work. Every Which Way But Loose is a pleasantly goofy comedy where Eastwood hits the road with an orangutan sidekick named Clyde. Now, here's a scene from early in the film with Clyde and Ruth Gordon, who plays Eastwood's mother.
What'd you do that for?
Been trying to get your attention for 5 minutes. Did you see Orville?
Yeah, I saw him.
Well, Orville tell you what?
And I'm sorry, Ma, about you missing your driver's test again.
Oh, that ain't the what I mean.
You mean Clyde? Yeah, well, I'm sorry about that, too, Ma. He won't do it again, I promise you.
What are you gonna do about it?
Well, I confronted him about it, Mom, and I guarantee it won't happen again.
No privacy in your own home. Oh, stop that, you baboon. No respect, no privacy, no nothing.
Bang!
2 great actors. Eastwood and Clyde become great friends and drink a lot of beer together, and one of the movie's funniest scenes, Eastwood gets Clyde fixed up by smuggling him into the female orangutan cage at the zoo. I wonder if his date that night was named Bonnie. Famous movie couples. Anyway, Eastwood also gets involved in a feud with a motorcycle gang, and here he is in his pickup truck with Clyde. Now, the guys he's chasing are gang members, and they get a free car wash without even filling up their tanks. Of course, they're pretty well tanked up already. Not one of the great comic scenes in movie history. Clint Eastwood fans will probably like the fight scenes in this movie, though. They make Eastwood's punches sound like a Naugahyde sofa being slapped with a ping-pong paddle. But the movie doesn't really hold together. It's a disjointed, uneven comedy that keeps on losing its way. every which way but loose. It's just too loose and not up to Clint Eastwood's usual standards.
It sure is uneven, and I think those two clips really show the strength and the weakness of the film. I would have loved the picture if it had been just about Eastwood with that ape. I mean, it's a great movie couple, and doesn't that say something about what it takes to be an actress? I mean, it's very good. But then, as you said, we get that gang, and it's a bunch of 50-year-old men who look like they belong in a bowling alley, not on motorcycle bikes. I can't understand it.
I think Clyde is an actor, by the way, Gene, but I do agree with you. They have a wonderful on-screen rapport, especially when they're kissing. I think Clint Eastwood has been quoted as saying that Clyde is a very warm simian.
Well, it's a real ape. I mean, you don't want to confuse anybody, but I don't know. Do you know why he puts in those strange comedy stuff that really is beneath him?
He's strongest. I've always been a big fan of his in the stuff like Dirty Harry and The Gauntlet,
Yes.
which is the straight action stuff. I think when he gets into a comedy, maybe he relaxes too much. He lets down a little, lets stuff in that wouldn't be up to his usual action standards.
All right, well, let's move from a comedy to outer space.
Okay.
One of the hit films of last year was Close Encounters of the Third Kind, which made the point that we shouldn't be afraid of visitors from another planet. They might be pretty nice guys, or things. A new film, Invasion of the Body Snatchers, is a throwback to an old kind of sci-fi flick where the creatures from outer space are bad, real bad. Invasion of the Body Snatchers is a decent remake of a 1956 sci-fi film of the same name. It's about alien creatures called pods that take over human beings, and when they take over a person looks the same, but he's missing a few things, like spontaneity and emotions like the ability to love. The film is set in San Francisco. At a party there, Donald Sutherland, a health inspector, hears a report from Brooke Adams, his assistant, that her boyfriend has changed into a pod, and so has the husband of another woman at the party.
That woman's husband's not her husband. I saw him today with Jeffrey. He's one of them. And she knows about it, and nobody's helping her.
That's not true. Somebody's helping. I'm glad you've heard that. David Kibner, Elizabeth Driscoll.
Aye. I've been hearing it all week. It's getting very popular.
What's that? What's getting popular?
I was trying to tell you that I also
You know somebody who's changed. Can we go outside and talk about it?
Listen, there's a lady up top, a red-haired blue dress. She's interested in your work. I've heard the same damn story this week from 6 patients. People are changing. They're becoming less human. It's happening all around us.
That's not what we're talking about. This has nothing to do with the man that I live with.
It has everything to do with it, don't you see? People are stepping in and out of relationships too fast because they don't want the responsibility. That's why marriages are going to hell. The whole family unit is shot to hell.
David, you're not listening to what she's saying.
Matthew, please stay out of this. You see, that's the point. I'm listening to you, but he doesn't think I am. Why? Because he doesn't expect me to bother enough or to care. Belichick, I'm telling you for the last time, I want you to stop. I want you to stand still, be quiet, and shut up!
Jack.
Why?
How did you feel about what I just did?
Why? Why the stories and not?
How did you feel? You were probably shocked. You wanted to shut your feelings off, withdraw, maybe make believe that it wasn't happening because then you don't have to deal with it.
I don't know, if strange creatures from outer space visited my town, I think Leonard Nimoy would be the last person I'd go to for advice. Anyway, the film goes along with more and more people changing into pods. Soon, most everybody in San Francisco has become a pod, a walking stiff. Now, one night, the pod people start changing and chasing Donald Sutherland and Brooke Adams because they are 2 of the last regular people left in town. That scene isn't really particularly original, and for me, the best moments in Invasion of the Body Snatchers are at the beginning, when the people change into the pods. At the end, just like in that scene there, it becomes just a routine chase story. Still, all in all, it's one of the few good movies in what unfortunately has turned out to be a very dismal holiday season.
I'm with you there. The movies haven't been too good. This is a good one, but I have a question about it. It's well acted, it's well photographed. Phil Kaufman is a really good rising young director. Why did they remake Invasion of the Body Snatchers? We're both movie buffs. I think I've seen the original '56 version 2 or 3 times. Sitting there appreciating the film, I still didn't know why it was necessary.
Well, what's even more amazing, it's sort of typical of this year. We have so many sequels, part 2 of this, part 2 of that, remaking an old movie. Isn't it amazing to you as we see these films that here's this whole colony of filmmakers and they're bereft of ideas? I don't understand why it happens.
One thing we should make clear, though, is the film is worth going to see, especially if you haven't seen the other one.
Yeah, in the moment when you see all these bodies, these pods lying around, which is an absurd moment, I suppose, it does get real and you do worry about it. So it's an effective film.
One of the few, maybe. Anyway, let's go down the coast a few hundred miles.
You mean from San Francisco, where the pods were?
All right, to Los Angeles, where the pods have been for a long time.
You bet.
When you're out in Los Angeles, do you ever stay at the Beverly Hills Hotel?
Sure, I'm on expense account, so it's not costing me. I think I can afford it.
That's funny. I'm on expenses, too, but I usually stay at a motel in Encino. I'm afraid if I stay at the Beverly Hills Hotel, I'll be visited in the night by the ghost of Howard Hughes sitting in his underwear and obsessively killing flies. Thousands of famous people, though, have stayed at the Beverly Hills Hotel, and now Neil Simon, one of our best comedy writers, has written California Suite about 5 couples who check into the hotel and about the sometimes funny, sometimes serious adventures they have over one weekend. The movie goes the distance, from the sad to the slapstick, and one of the best segments stars Jane Fonda and Alan Alda. They've been divorced for several years when they meet for lunch in some conversational warfare.
You have changed, Billy. You've gone clean on me. Tell me, what else do you do to keep that winsome adolescent look?
You're just dying to make a little fun of me, aren't you? No, I don't mind. I have an hour to kill. Would you believe I run 5 miles every morning?
After what?
After a good night's sleep. I don't even have a pill in my medicine cabinet, and I gave up analysis.
I heard that. Why did you quit?
I went sane.
Sane? My God, how boring. Tell me something, Billy. Don't you ever get depressed?
Yes.
When?
Now.
They're fighting over the custody of their teenage daughter, and their episode provides the film's most touchingly dramatic moments. Then there's another scene, a delightfully sly segment starring Maggie Smith as an Academy Award nominee and Michael Caine as her homosexual husband. Now here they are in the hotel's polo lounge having a drink before the Oscar ceremony.
Gin and tonic, please.
Nothing for me. I heard that if you're late, they put nondescript people in your seats.
Do you know what I might do next year, Sidney?
I pray anything but Ibsen.
I might give it all up. It's no fun anymore. Oh, God, how I envy you. You're the one with all the talent. I'm the one who has to make a horse's ass of myself.
Talent? What talent do I have?
Well, I've nothing but talent. You cook better than I do. You write better than I do. God knows you dress better than I do.
Better than I. The do is superfluous.
You speak better than I do. What's that green slime you're eating? It looks like a dish out of Oliver Twist.
I'm not sure. I think they ran the front lawn through a blender.
You've got that glazed look in your eye again, Sidney, that bored with her life attitude.
I'm never bored with your life, my angel. I love the openings and the parties. I lead a very gay life. Let's be honest, Pet. How many antique dealers get to go to the Academy Awards?
I think you hate that dusty little shop. You're never there when I call.
Could I, Miss Barry? It's for my daughter.
Oh,
Excuse me.
What's her name?
Just say to Frank.
What do you do with your afternoons, Sidney?
In London? I don't think we have afternoons.
Gin and tonic.
Check, please.
No matter what it might sound like, there's real warmth and wit in their relationship. They've been sniping at each other for so long now, so many years, that they kind of count on it. Well, then there's another couple also checking into the hotel, Walter Matthau and Elaine May. Now, they're in town for his nephew's bar mitzvah, and Matthau was in real trouble. He arrived the night before. His brother-in-law got him drunk and fixed him up with a call girl, and now there's this semi-conscious hooker in his suite. Elaine May's just arrived from the airport. She's in the next room, and Matthau is desperately trying to get rid of the call girl.
Mr. Michaels?
Oh, Christ. Don't ever do that.
I'm sorry. I was just bringing up Mrs. Michaels' bag.
Good. They found your bag, honey. She was very worried about it. She was just going down to look for it.
You want it in the bedroom?
No. Yes. Leave it there.
In the hall?
Yes. No. Give it to me. No, put it in the bedroom.
Is Mrs. Michaels all right?
Yeah, she's very tired. She just flew in from New York. Thank you very much. I'll take care of you later.
Marvin, why is the door locked?
I can't hear you. I'm in the bathroom cleaning.
I can't wait anymore. Open the door.
I'll open the door. Here comes the door.
Marvin,
The opening of the door is coming.
what are you doing?
On the way to the door. Door is open. Don't you know how to work a door?
What took you so long? Somebody, you got a girl in here?
That's right. I have a beautiful blonde in the bed.
It's a great comic dilemma, and it's got some of Mathau's funniest moments, especially the very next moment. He sits Elaine May down on the bed. The girl is still there. He turns to her and he says, "Now, darling, I'm going to tell you something now, and when I tell you, I don't want you to say anything at all for 10 seconds.
Good moment.
Good moment. But the movie as a whole is uneven, maybe because it has to be with so many stories to tell, but I still think it's worth seeing. Simon does a good job of combining comedy with wit.
I'm less of a fan of the picture than you, specifically in its so-called serious moments. That beginning thing with Jane Fonda and Alan Alda, I didn't buy it. I didn't think it was revealing any great truths. What I did see was two people reading a script, and that's what's going on. It was a play first, California Suite, before it became a movie, and frequently with Neil Simon's stuff, you can hear the writer much more than you can hear those actors.
Well, at least if I have to hear a writer, I like to hear Neil Simon. My objection was a little bit different. Now, we just saw 3 scenes involving the 3 white couples.
Yeah.
The top of the show, we had the scene with Richard Pryor and Bill Cosby and their wives, the 2 black couples. Now, the funny thing is that Simon saves all of his sophisticated wit for the white couples, and the black couples are at a level of Laurel and Hardy. It's slapstick. They're falling over tennis nets. Their bathrooms are being flooded. It just doesn't seem fair.
Yeah, it doesn't seem fair because Cosby and Pryor are 2 of the finest comedians working in movies today, and they're not given enough to do. You call it Laurel and Hardy. That's a compliment. It isn't even at the Laurel and Hardy level. It's a shame. Now, are you still saying, though, you recommend the picture?
On the whole, yes. Yes,
Yeah,
I am.
And I'm not.
Okay.
But this next picture, by no means, this is one of the worst we have. And have you noticed how many movie characters these days are crippled or diseased, and suddenly we're supposed to cheer them on as they conquer their afflictions? Well, there have been a lot of these pathetic heroes lately. Remember The Other Side of the Mountain, parts 1 and 2, and Love Story.
Parts 1 and 2?
Absolutely. And the reason I think we're seeing so many of these characters is that they're easy to write, and they have a lot of built-in sympathy. I mean, how can you not hope that a crippled person gets better? Now, one of the worst films of this kind is Uncle Joe Shannon. Joe Shannon, played by Burt Young from Rocky, is a fine trumpet player who, 5 minutes into the picture, gets his first kick in the head when his wife and child are wiped out in a fire. Suddenly, he becomes a Skid Row wino. He befriends an orphan little boy who's got plenty of his own problems. The kid tries to talk Joe out of being depressed as they sit in the movie theater watching a film that Joe played the trumpet for.
Joe, what's the matter? You up on the screen, wasn't it?
I missed the party that night, a long time ago.
I bet you can do it again.
Can't play Jingle Bells, remember?
Joe, you could do anything you want.
Why don't you just go to sleep, okay?
Joe, look. All you gotta do is just stop drinking and grow up a little, that's all.
Yeah, you got a big mouth for a little kid.
Not too much realism there. I've heard of people talking in a movie theater, but can you imagine some guy pulling out a trumpet and playing it while you're watching a picture? Well, at any rate, hold on, it gets much worse for Joe and for the kid and for us. The kid, you're not going to believe this, it's not enough he's been abandoned by his alcoholic mother. It turns out the kid has cancer in his leg. Boy, they lay it on thick here. The doctor wants to amputate, and the boy doesn't want to go to the hospital, and it's up to Joe to get him there.
You're afraid of the peanut doctor. That's it?
Got a piece here, they got a piece there. Rather disappear in one gulp.
I don't want to hear that disappear stuff, okay? Because I do care whether you stay around.
Gonna let him cut me?
I can't tell the doctors what to do. I know they'll do the best, okay?
That's a joke.
Just be nice, Joe.
Yeah? Come over here, sonny boy. Come over here right now.
You gonna let him cut me? Yes or no?
Oh, no. No.
Now I'm counting on you.
The kid's name is Doug McKeon, and he outacts Burt Young in that scene. He's pretty good. Burt Young is just groveling like he did in Rocky. Now, what's wrong with movies like this is that they take the easy way out. I'd like to see the person who wrote this picture, and it is Burt Young, try to write a movie about the problems of healthy people. By comparison, this catastrophe stuff is easy, and ultimately I think it's insulting to people who have real pain in their lives. I never believed there was a Joe Shannon, actually. All I could see was a writer desperately trying to make me cry.
Okay, Gene, let me get this straight. You think the movie should be burned, right?
No, I think it's not a very good film. I wish I had never seen it.
Well, I didn't like it either. I didn't think it succeeded, but I thought it had a lot of heart in it. It was a good, sincere attempt to move into this milieu, to show these characters.
Too much heart, Roger, too sincere. I wanted to see somebody walk into the picture who was healthy and upbeat. I didn't want the kid to have cancer in his leg.
I really
did.
found it, Gene, a picture you think is too sincere.
Yeah, much too sincere.
I think you're going to like the next one then in that case. It's about another little kid. You might like him a little bit better. His name is Pinocchio.
I do like him better.
Okay. Pinocchio, by the way, is the great Disney classic. It's back in theaters right at the moment all over the country. The movie was made in 1940, but it's as fresh as anything being made today. And Walt Disney's color animation, if anything, is better than current standards. Now, I hadn't seen Pinocchio since I was a kid, so I went back to the theater the other day. And that can be risky sometimes with your childhood favorites, and sometimes the movies you loved as a kid lose a lot in 20 or 30 years. But Pinocchio hasn't lost a thing. I liked it so much, I go back and see it again tonight. Really. And remember this delightful scene, for example. Jiminy Cricket gives Pinocchio a pep talk.
Anytime you need me, you know, just whistle. Like this.
Like this?
No, son. Now listen. That's it. Come on now. Let's sing it. When you get in trouble and you don't know right from wrong, give a little whistle. Give a little whistle. When you meet temptation and the urge is very strong, give a little whistle. Give a little whistle. Not just a little squeak, pucker up and blow. And if your whistle's weak, yell, Jiminy Cricket, right! Take the straight and narrow path, and if you start to slide, give a little whistle. Give a little whistle. And always let your conscience be your guide.
The quality of the animation there is superb. Let's talk about that in a moment. Anyway, Pinocchio goes through exciting adventures. I suppose everybody remembers this as he tries to earn the right to be a real little boy instead of a wooden little puppet. Now, the kid tries all right, but when he's away from home, he's prey to all sorts of dangers. Now, just for example, there are a lot of unscrupulous operators in the world who could get rich exhibiting a puppet without any strings.
Oh, how clumsy of me. Oh, my. Oh, I'm terribly sorry. Well. Quite a scholar, I see. Look, Kitty, a man of letters. Here's your book.
I'm going to school.
School. Ah, yes. Then you haven't heard of the easy road to success. No? I'm speaking, my boy, of the theater. Here's your apple. Bright lights, music, applause, fame.
Fame?
Yes. And with that personality, that profile, that physique, why, he's a natural-born actor. Hey, Kitty?
But I'm going
straight to the top. Why, I can see your name in lights. Lights 6 feet high. What is your name?
Pinocchio.
Pinocchio! We're wasting precious time. Come on to the theater. Hi-diddly-dee, an actor's life for me. A high silk hat and a silver cane, a watch of gold with a diamond chain. Hi-diddly-day.
Walt Disney's Pinocchio. Now, who could forget some of the other great scenes, too, like the bad little kids being turned into donkeys that grew the ears, you know, the thrilling adventure inside the belly of Monstro the whale. This is one of the very best animated features ever made by Walt Disney or anything else. And, you know, the Disney people only release their major animated classics once every 7 years. So here's a warning. If you're a member of the current generation of kids, this is your last chance to see it before you grow up.
Yeah, well, this is my favorite movie on the show, obviously. Great songs there. We don't get many movies with good songs like that. And I tell you, on the animation, it was so rich and so beautifully shaded, I felt as I watched the picture that I could almost see the other side of the character. They're beautifully done.
Maybe without getting too technical, this is a process known as full animation, in which by every frame, you know, all the Disney artists work 2-3 years on a picture to get it just perfect, like the little fish, Cleo. Cleo, the fish, when she kind of wraps herself around her tail, you know, and then it comes back out again in the water, and she does her little ballet in the fishbowl.
Yeah.
Wonderfully done. Even the best animated features today can't do it that well because it's become too expensive.
It's a beautiful picture, absolutely beautiful. And the Monstro the whale in the water, everything is great.
And Gene, I know you're telling the truth because your nose didn't grow.
That's why I always tell the truth. And now to review our reactions to the main films on the show. Both Roger and I thought Clint Eastwood's Every Which Way But Loose, rated PG, had more dumb moments than funny ones. We can't recommend you see it. That's why there's a no next to both of our names. But we both say yes to the science fiction thriller Invasion of the Body Snatchers, and why not? We're not pod people. We have strong feelings. We recommend you see this movie. A split decision on the bittersweet California Suite. I thought its serious scenes were phony, but Roger liked the serious material and some of the comedy. He gives it a yes. I say no. We agree, however, on Burt Young's Uncle Joe Shannon. I thought it was an overwrought sob sister mess. Roger thought it was at least a good try, but still, we both say no. And of course, a pair of yeses to Pinocchio, the marvelous 1940 Walt Disney film now replaying at a theater near you. And if I could wish upon a star, Roger, I think what I would wish for is better holiday movies next year. This year's crop was pretty bad.
You're right, Gene. There were 4 or 5 good pictures. The rest were disappointing. It's been a bad Christmas season for the movies, but an interesting year. And next on Sneak Previews, Gene and I are going to look back at the movie year 1978. We'll discuss the year's biggest trend, people going to the movies to laugh and cry and be scared, to escape into the world of pure entertainment. And we'll have scenes from some of the year's biggest escapist hits like the thriller Jaws 2, the musical Grease, the slapstick comedy Animal House, and the romantic comedy Heaven Can Wait.
Yeah.
And the spot the Wonder Dog reminds us, we'll also pick the very worst films, the dogs of 1978. Isn't that right, Spot? Right, and then Gene and I will also give our personal selections of the year's best films. Until then, see you at the movies.
Funding for this program is provided by this station and by other public television stations.